Severe concern in European countries over being sidelined in global affairs. European leaders seek talks with the U.S. before Trump's meeting with Putin. Bloomberg News, citing informed sources, has reported that European leaders are trying to speak with the U.S. president before his scheduled meeting with the Russian leader in Alaska, set for later this week. These diplomatic efforts come ahead of the Trump-Putin talks, slated for August 15th. Following a weekend of intense diplomatic activity between American, Ukrainian, and European officials. On Saturday, the U.S. Vice President met with the British Foreign Secretary in London, and the next day, EU ambassadors were briefed on the details of these discussions. According to Bloomberg, EU foreign ministers are expected to hold a virtual meeting today. Europeans are worried about being excluded from major global geopolitical decision-making, even more anxious about being left out of the Ukraine game. Any agreement reached in Alaska could likely mean Europe will no longer be able to rely on Trump's America for support in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Hungary's Viktor Orban, who has always sought a balanced position on the Ukraine crisis and maintains personal rapport with both Putin and Trump, quickly urged European leaders to speak directly with Putin before the meeting and present their demands. But fearful European leaders instead warned, peace without Ukraine's participation is a betrayal of us. EU and NATO leaders feel afraid and isolated without Trump, while Putin has quickly spoken by phone with allies from Belarus, Central Asian countries, and most importantly, China, informing them of his proposals before the Alaska meeting. Trump, however, saw no need to inform the Europeans. Putin and Trump are redrawing the world map. Regardless of its outcome, the Trump-Putin meeting will be historic. If, after World War II, America, the Soviet Union, and Britain sat together in the sunny shores of Yalta and Crimea to divide the post-war world, this time the question is, what will America and Russia agree upon in Alaska? Ironically, one of the key issues on the table between the U.S. and Russia in this meeting is Yalta itself in Crimea. If Yalta was once the place where global disputes were resolved, today it is the very point of contention to be discussed in Alaska. If Yalta's warm shores once marked the start of the Cold War, should we now expect that the frigid land of Alaska will thaw the ice in U.S.-Russia relations? It may be too soon to answer, but certainly this meeting is a symbol of a new era, in which the old European imperial powers are no longer at the table dividing the spoils, but are themselves on the table to be divided. The Alaska Summit may, years from now, be remembered as the beginning of a new chapter of 21st century Yalta. My opinion this piece paints a vivid picture of Europe's growing insecurity in the shifting global order. The parallels drawn between Yalta, 1945, and Alaska, 2025, are powerful and symbolic, suggesting that we may be witnessing a new great power deal that reshapes spheres of influence, potentially at Europe's expense. From a geopolitical perspective, Europe's anxiety is not unfounded. If Trump and Putin were to make decisions on Ukraine or broader global arrangements without involving the EU, it would signal a return to big power diplomacy reminiscent of pre-World War II and early Cold War politics, where smaller players, even wealthy, developed ones like European states, have little agency. The most striking element is the shift in status. The old colonial empires that once shaped the world are now worried about becoming bargaining chips themselves. The fact that Putin consults his allies while Trump ignores the Europeans also suggests a deliberate signaling that Europe is no longer central to U.S. strategic thinking. If the Alaska meeting truly produces a landmark agreement, we might indeed look back on it as the Yalta of the 21st century, but whether that heralds peace, division, or renewed rivalry remains to be seen. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe.